Welcome back, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on those notifications. I'm your host, plastic surgeon, Dr. Bruce Hermann, and with me, very special guest, Kaylee Pear. It's Sarah. There's Kaylee.
I'm still here.
Kaylee Pear, welcome. And of course, as always, Sarah.
Hi.
How you doing, Sarah? In the box, Travis, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I thought we were going to Sarah next.
Oh, I screwed up, Trey. Sorry, man. We should have practiced beforehand.
It's all right. We got
How
it
embarrassing for us, but I think we'll make it. Well, Kaylee, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
I consider you a good friend and also I guess we're business partners, business associates, yeah. I really appreciate that you come on, and I think that you have some great insights into something that is just consumed the world, which is social media. And so before we kind of, I want you to tell us about your business, but you have a very interesting background. Are you willing to share about that, about how you started out in this?
Yeah, so it's actually fun because I haven't worn an IFB or whatever you call them in a really long time. So it's kind of fun to hear you in my ear, Travis. I was a meteorologist for 15 years prior to starting my social media company, and worked in several different television markets all over the country. I'm from Illinois originally, so I was in Southern Illinois, Central Illinois. I've actually worked every county in the state of Illinois.
Oh wow! Is that common to bounce around from station to station?
It is.
Okay. Why does that happen? I mean, is it just step up? Or?
Yeah, it's more kind of like you're building your resume. So the generation right before mine was more of a, hey, you get there, you stay there, and you stay there for a long time. But then you got kind of post 2007, 2008 market crash.
Gotcha.
And it was more of, hey, you have to move up to get a big pay jump. So you would jump from market to market. Plus, my goal was Chicago because I'm from south of Chicago. So my dream was to go to Chicago. Well, they're not going to hire a 20-year-old doing the weather in Chicago. You don't have the experience yet. Mm-hmm. So you kind of go around to different parts of the country, and I was in Birmingham, Alabama, Kansas City, Missouri, then Chicago, and then ended up here in Dallas. So just kept bouncing around, and then we adopted my little girl, and then it was kind of like
starting to grow roots.
Yeah, I didn't want to keep doing that anymore.
I just can only imagine how unsettling it is to uproot yourself for whatever year, 2 years that you were going from job to job.
Oh, I've moved. I think I've counted, me not married or anything, I've moved 13 or 14 times.
Jeez.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Ooh, it's terrible.
We get that a tiny bit, in our business because you got college, then med school, and it's typically not the same place, then residency, then fellowship, and then me, another fellowship, and then finally wherever you land.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time that I was done with all that, it's I'm not moving again. This is it. I'm staying here. I don't care what happens. Yeah. This is where, and I grew up here, so for me, it ended up being kind of where I wanted.
Kaylee, can I ask, since you are no longer a meteorologist, do you still get people that ask you to do the meteorologist spiel? Yeah, no,
I'm still a meteorologist technically, so
are you okay?
I'm just not on TV anymore, so I get to do it with a glass of wine now.
Oh, God.
That's really what
okay,
this
now that
is.
brings up a good question. Do you still dabble in the meteorology?
Oh yeah,
world?
I still looked at them. I've looked at the models all week because I want to know if my daughter's gonna have her soccer games, and I play tennis, so that's something I do for fun, and I'm really into it. And so the tennis team and the country club, they'll text me and be like, "All right, are we gonna have a match today?"
What's your analysis of the weather today?
The rock is wet.
The rock is wet. I like it.
But yeah, it needs to go away. I do not like weather like this.
I think there may be an opportunity for is there any meteorology podcasts out there? Is that a thing?
Yeah. There are some.
Are there?
There's some
Okay.
But there's ones about
them.
tornado stuff.
Yeah. So
that's
more
a
about
big
tornadoes.
thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's exciting for me. The other day I was at soccer with my daughter plays soccer, and the lady was asking me how, if it's warm outside, there's ice coming from the sky, right? And I got so excited because that's one of my favorite things to teach people about is hail. I love talking about hail. And so I started going, and I was like, this is bringing me to a really happy place. I still love, I mean, looking at the models and looking at the atmosphere and being able to do all that. So I still do it.
So, I mean, I know that we're digressing really deep into meteorology, but I have one more question. Is that something like you wanted to do since you were a kid?
Yes.
You always wanted to do it?
So when I was little, it was like kindergarten because I only went to half day. It was like back when half day kindergarten was a thing. And I would come home and I would eat lunch and I would take a nap and my mom would ask, what do you want to watch while you take a nap? And it was the Weather Channel and the Frugal Gourmet guy who would like cook, which I don't like to cook, so the weather was the other one. Yeah. So I, from a very young age, was very into it.
That's crazy. Like, what do you think started that? Like, I mean, like, was it like one of your parents?
Well, I was always really scared of tornadoes. It didn't matter what time of year, it could be snowing outside and I would be freaked out there was going to be a tornado. So I think it was more for me to understand why and how a tornado formed and if I could keep myself safe.
Sure.
That and then after that it just became like, I just was fascinated.
Interesting.
And I would take like the VHS camera outside and be like, look at it, it's hailing outside.
Look at that cloud. That's a circumulonimbus or something.
Cumulonimbus cloud.
Yeah, there we go. I butchered that. You're probably like, oh, how embarrassing for him.
That's cute.
All right. Well, okay. Then how in the world do you transition from being the successful meteorologist to giving all that up and now you're running a social media company?
Well, I mean, so when I started in my second job in television, it was when Twitter was just launching.
Yeah.
So,
so like 2010-ish.
Yeah, it was like I think 2006 is when Twitter started.
Oh,
so it was like 07 was my first TV job, and then after that, and I from the beginning was always the meteorologist that would come on and be like to the team, we got to do social media. We have to figure out a way to connect with everybody on social media, and I did that from then on. And I'm talking Twitter was big, X was huge in this. And I would have full-on conversations with people during severe weather coverage on Twitter. They'd be like, under an overpass at this road, am I safe, am I here? And it really became a tool that then expanded to, doing videos and creating, I helped start a Instagram news show when I was in Chicago with the NBC affiliates, and it was called The Rundown, and it was where we would do really quick top news stories, and that was for the week, and we would just hit it, and we won a Webby for that. And so I was always kind of the forefront of a lot of social media stuff. I spoke at a national weather organization conference about social media and how we need to utilize it. So I always really just loved it and found ways to kind of incorporate it. And then one of my best friends that was in TV started her own YouTube channel back in 2006 as a beauty broadcaster, and she would do makeup stuff. And I watched her go from just doing it in her living room to being one of the major YouTube subscribers and seeing how that launches a business. And so I started seeing that, and I tried so many different things of my own, with adoption and starting a YouTube channel there, and then I finally was like, why am I trying to do this for myself? Businesses either don't have time or they don't really know how, because it's the same thing as TV. It's the same thing if, like, we would come in the morning, let's say, because I didn't just do weather, I would do stories as well. So if I got in at, let's say 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and then we have to have it on the air by 5 o'clock. You have to find out what you're going to do for the story. You have to call the people. You have to interview the people. You have to edit it.
It's the same
you have to write it.
Like
it's the same process. So then during COVID, in the neighborhood we were living in, and a guy was paying a woman in Sweden. Nothing against anybody in Sweden, but I was like, let me just do it for you. It's fine. Let me do it.
And what year was this?
2020 or 2021. 2021. So this is 2021. And I took over all of his platforms. Every single platform he was on.
So was your first client?
First client.
Are you doing it for free or were you getting paid to that point?
At first I was doing it for free. And I started doing it, he'd be like, did you post this? And it would be like an article I wrote on LinkedIn about his business. He's like, you don't even know what my business is. Like, how did you do this? And I'm like, well, I just researched it. And then what I thought was interesting, I just, and then I started, doing more for him. And then he would talk about me to somebody else. And then within 6 months, I had more clients and I was getting paid and made more money than I did in television. So it was kind of a no-brainer that I thought, wow, okay, businesses really don't, because at that point, let me back up a little bit. I had a couple marketing agencies here in Dallas reach out to me and say, hey, we charge for social media, but we actually don't know how to do it effectively. what if we used you as an outsource? And I thought, no, I'm just going to start my own social media agency and only do social media. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm not going to tap into anything else. We're just going to focus on social media.
Some companies do get too, they get too much overlap. They'll do like, oh, we're going to do your internet marketing, we're going to do your social media marketing, we do your, regular print marketing, but then they don't do any of them great.
Exactly. And so I said, we're only going to do this because I do feel, and I mean, it's happening right now, that back in 2021 when I started this, I said, this is going to replace traditional marketing in 3 to 5 years. I mean, you can be more effective in who you reach, especially with ads on social media, and you don't have to spend a fraction of the cost. So it just makes sense.
You'd be proud of me. I was pretty early on the train. I hired my first dedicated social media marketing person in 2020. Not bad, right?
That's pretty awesome.
And at the time, it was hard to find someone. It was like, I need someone to like run my social media because it's starting to get to be too much. And like companies like yours didn't really exist at that point. And so I had to find someone, and I found this guy just graduated college. He's like, I'm really into social media, and I was in marketing, and I want to try to do that. I was like, sweet, and so it turned out good. And at the time, like nobody was doing that. In 2020, I mean, it was pretty early.
There's still a lot of people who are still just getting to the point of, hey, I'm going to pay someone else to do it. It's usually, hey, the front desk, this receptionist, this assistant, or you're trying to do it as a business owner at the same time.
No,
and it's too much. I mean, I don't even run paired ups. I don't. You know what I mean? Because I can't do that and do my job effectively.
So, do you feel like that there's a lot of common misconceptions about what social marketing people do? Like when people reach out to you, do they kind of know what all you do, or do they think it's kind of a black box and you just kind of?
They don't, and I think that's important of us educating. So like that's why with my team, I say we have to educate the people that we're working with, because if they knew how to do it, they wouldn't pay us to do it, right? So we need to make sure they understand and that they know all the things that we're doing, but they don't have to worry about it. Like, we can do this for you, but we want you to know, we want you to understand it,
So when you get a client, are you recommending different platforms for them based on their businesses, or do you just kind of leave it open to them, or do you just kind of go in and evaluate what they have and go from there?
Yeah, so if somebody's like, hey, I want you to do this, I want to set up a meeting first, because I want to exactly know what they're looking for, but I will always come to the table with, here's the essentials. I don't ever think that you should do all platforms at one time at the beginning. Now, once you are doing it and you're doing it effectively, then we can add on and we can do that. But it's kind of like us, if we were to try to do marketing here and doing that, we're not going to do any of them well.
Right. And it's hard because they're all so different. I mean, that's what I found. So
different.
Because I've been doing social media. I was pretty early on the social media train. Maybe not quite as early as you, but yeah, I mean, one of the biggest issues, like something that's totally fine on this platform is taboo on this one, and I mean, the ratios are different, and how it can be overwhelming.
You start your platform, like I started my platform on Instagram, and I had to grow one on YouTube. It was hard to get them to talk to each other, and the same with TikTok.
They don't talk to each other.
Now I don't even post anything very much anymore.
That's the other kind of misconception
I'm so
too.
Tired.
I mean, and you tell me if you found this to be true, Kaylee. I'm not like big on TikTok, but I mean, I got on TikTok pretty early, and I got up to like 150,000, followers. Just doing. I mean, that's how this show was spawned. And so when I started the show, I was like, oh, I have 150,000 followers on TikTok. I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm going to have 50,000 subscribers in like no time. And I personally found it almost impossible to get people to jump platforms.
Yeah,
it's not impossible, but
they're different people.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I think that's true. I think that there's not a ton of people that truly are deep dive into multiple different platforms. I mean, I know I'm not. I personally like X, which is the one that I actually post the least on. I just like it because of the news.
Yeah, it's the demographic. So that's why it's important, because we work with so many different businesses. What is your business? Who is your customer? What is the end goal here? And then we find where they're at, because,
what's the best for them.
And then, each platform, they don't want you to leave the platform, so they're not going to help you build the other, they're not going to help. So Instagram's not going to help push people to YouTube.
Right, yeah, they don't want that.
They don't want that.
Business, yeah. I mean, it's been interesting watching the evolution of social media, having been pretty involved with it from the start. I mean, going along those lines, have you seen like changes in like what constitutes successful content? Like, is it different now than it was, say 2 years ago? Or is it staying pretty consistent as far as like what's actually going to reach people?
It's the same. And I think the people, I think we were going to talk about this in a little bit, but I'm jumping ahead, that jump on the trends, that's the biggest mistake you can make. Because yes, you can go with trending audios and you can try to find ways to implement that into your business, a trend. But if you're jumping from trend to trend and you're not authentic to your brand, then the identity is not there. And then
I think that's a great point, and I've seen that even with my people in my office, where they'll say, "Oh, there's this new thing on TikTok. We need to do that." I'm like, "So what? We're like the 20th, account that's doing the same thing." I mean, sometimes we do them just because.
Yeah, that's okay.
Or maybe we can do it better, or we do it different. But yeah, I think that you definitely have a point there that if you're just repeating every single trend, it's like, people are going to like lose interest.
A lot of the times, if I'm doing a training or if I'm working with my team, I go off of the 4 E's of content, which is education, engagement, emotion, and engagement. Okay, so if one of those 4 E's isn't behind the piece of content, then what do you want from me? Like we're so oversaturated.
Right. And there's so much stuff out there.
So you have to tell me what you want from me.
Boxes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
what do you find is one of the most common things that your clients, including myself, maybe aren't doing right? Like something that as a client we could do better to maybe make your job easier or just overall be more successful?
That's a really good question, because it's knowing it's a partnership. So like, even though I'm taking it off your plate or my team is taking it off your plate and we're handling most of it, it still has to be a partnership, because essentially it is you or it is your business. Right. So we do, I see it a lot of times where we'll start taking it on, and then we'll try to engage with them and get them to be a part of the ideas and then it's like, oh wait, no, now then it's 6 months later and you're not seeing much of a return, but we haven't heard from you. You know what I mean? So I think
so not enough like two-way street. Yeah, and I know, and even us, like I feel like we have a pretty good relationship in our partnership. But I mean, there's been times that you guys will reach out like, oh, we need to come by and do videos. So I'm like, oh man, I just got to find time to schedule that. I know that you and I have had.
But we do though, and
but we do. We eventually get it done.
That's the big thing, is we get it done.
I guess you have some people that it's hard to kind of.
It's hard.
And do those videos.
So that would be the number one thing, is knowing that you still, even though yes, somebody else is taking care of your social media, you still have to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Because we're not the expert,
No.
Did you ever have anybody run your social media? You did it all yourself,
I did it
right?
all myself, and it was exhausting.
It was a mistake?
It was a mistake, and it was exhausting. Yeah, that's why
you get burned out.
I had a YouTube channel for me and my store, like as a brand, called Everything's Rosy, because my store was called Rose and Thorn.
Rose and Thorn,
And then I had an Instagram for my store, I had an Instagram for myself, and then I had like Pinterest for my store, I had TikTok for my store and myself.
Yeah, it just gets
all
overwhelming.
Of that stuff, and it just was exhausting. And I had a Facebook. Well, thankfully, one of my friends that I grew up with, she helped me do Facebook ads and Instagram ads, because I had no idea how to do that stuff for my store. But it was exhausting. I wish I would have had somebody to help me.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
it's like an identity crisis, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I had, my biggest problem was that I had this platform that developed on Instagram because of my ex, and most of his followers were men. So most of my followers were men, and I couldn't get away from them. And I had to try to like rebrand myself, and I couldn't.
Oh, it's tough, right?
It was so annoying. Yeah.
So I know that we talked about like jumping on, maybe TikTok trends, not the greatest idea, but is there any just like social media kind of, I mean, I hate to say the word trends, I don't mean like a video trend, but like, is there any kind of focus in social media that's new the business should be paying attention to, or anything that's changed maybe in the past 6 months to a year that's like, hey, you should know that this is happening?
I think influencer marketing and having influencers involved in your user-generated content is one of the biggest, I think, shifts that's not going away.
I thought about that myself.
Yeah, it's not going away, and like you do this.
I used to do it.
Yeah, and
I used to be an influencer, so I still get emails asking, I'm going to send you this product for free. Will you talk about it?
Yep.
I still get that stuff. I haven't done it in a while. Yeah, I've done it before.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that is such a big thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's huge. It doesn't matter. Your business could be like window installations or plumbing or something. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
I'm Sarah here to talk about these windows that I really
Yeah, I
love.
used to get
It's so
used to get it all the
important.
time, especially for YouTube. Like they
Yeah.
would send me a product that maybe I had to like put together,
Right.
and I would put it together, and then they'd give me money for putting it together,
Wow.
and I'd get this free thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
great. The rise of the influencer has been interesting to watch.
Yeah.
As someone on the outside, because I mean, I didn't consider myself at all an influencer, and I gained followers. But I've seen people, they start small and suddenly they get this following, and then it's like they're talking about all these products. And I actually have a friend that does it, and I'm always amazed. That they get all this stuff. They get all their dinners comped. 'Cause
Yeah, and they get paid for posts
Yeah,
and
it's
stories
amazing.
Yeah, one time I got during COVID, they were Cinemark was advertising renting a whole entire movie theater for you and your family, so you didn't have to share it with anybody. And so me and my friend, like another single mom, we went there for free. All of the food, the tickets, blah blah blah. All of it was for free, and we just
awesome.
You just had to post. Yep.
That's amazing.
I mean, this was something I was dabbling in at the beginning of Paired Up, was whether I had a side of it that was influencer marketing where then I could connect them very easily with clients. And so I was starting to represent a few influencers that I put to bed very quickly. That's too much. That doesn't need to be a part of it. But there was girls that were charging $10,000 a post.
I never charged that much. No.
Yeah, so
That's crazy.
It's pretty wild, but it's really impactful. So I think that it's not necessarily a trend, but it's a shift. I think that a lot of people are, still trying to figure out how to implement that in a strategy. But
What's your feeling? I mean, speaking of trends, we probably have talked about this at one point. I'm a big fan of AI. How do you feel like AI is going to fit both into social media? Well, I know how it's fitting in social media. I can see. And Sarah and I were talking about this just in the show we did last week about how we were reading an article, and Sarah and I were convinced it was completely AI generated. Like that the response was AI generated and the question was AI generated. So outside of that, where people are just creating content with AI, I mean, from your aspect, how do you see AI? Is like a tool, a threat?
I think it's a tool.
Yeah.
I think you just have to be careful with the way you use it. I mean, we at Paired Up use AI.
I use it literally all the time.
Yeah, but you have to be careful because number one, you have to reword things the way that you would, the images things I can't wrap my head around yet.
The one with 6 fingers.
Yeah, I just can't do like that. We don't touch. But I think it's a good tool, and I think it should be used cautiously. But I think it could be very beneficial.
Yeah, I use it all the time. In fact, I've gotten to the point where I create my own custom AIs to do certain tasks, and I've done pretty good. But I do, like when Sarah and I were looking at this thing, it's almost kind of distasteful when people try to pass off an authentic account or pass off an AI generated content or something. That drives me nuts. I see it. X is the worst.
Yeah.
Like there's
Facebook's getting pretty bad too.
Is it? I don't get on Facebook, even though I have Facebook, but AI is just a whole nother topic in general. But yeah, it's invading like every part of our life. Do you have any like particular campaigns you did or posts, like something that went insane viral that you remember? It's like, oh, this is our crown jewel, or
I mean, there's stuff. I think the biggest answer for this is posts that were done like a year ago that now all of a sudden are going viral.
Oh, those are the best.
Like where you're like,
we've
wait a
had
minute,
videos.
we did that a year ago for you.
Yeah, and we had one on our channel where it was like one of our biggest videos is do you remember Sarah when we did a segment on lunchtime liposuction?
Yeah.
It got like 20 views, like the week that it happened, and then fast forward a year later, I check it and it's like at 70,000 views. It's like, when did that happen? When did that happen? Like, how did it happen? How did that even come about? That's been the funny thing with social media is that, across various accounts and platforms, that sometimes things will take off and like I have no idea how it happened. It's like, why can't I catch lightning in a bottle? Like this happened. How did it happen? And I don't know, maybe you know the secret, but I think sometimes it just does, and it's just hard to follow.
Sometimes it just does, yeah. And that's why jumping on trends is hard, because like what worked yesterday may not work tomorrow.
Yeah, that's totally true as well.
And just being authentic to you and doing the stuff that you know.
So this is kind of just a random question, but as a social media, marketing CEO, like if you could take any one, either celebrity or brand over and completely have complete control of their social media, what would you take? Would you go for like maybe one of your favorite, celebrities, musicians, maybe a favorite company?
Oh goodness.
Or is there something that you'd like to fix? Maybe you see somebody.
That is a really, really hard question.
Oh, is it?
Well,
Oh, I'm
because
sorry. I saved the hardest one for last.
So like I have come to not work like you are different, but working with individuals anymore, it's more of like companies.
Yeah.
But I think that there would be, a couple of people like that I would want to handle their social media.
Just because you like them?
Yeah, or it would be like super crazy fun,
Yeah, totally. Like a celebrity would be awesome. There's some people out there that, especially on places like X, that control their own social media where they probably shouldn't. You'd be like, let me just take that.
I would take over Amanda Bynes' social media.
Oh, Amanda Bynes.
See, I would like Taylor Swift or something.
what about-
you know what
what
I mean?
about-
Even
no,
though
no,
I'm not the biggest fan of Taylor Swift. I'm just gonna put
Britney
that out there.
Spears.
Britney,
Yeah.
I want to take her.
Amanda
From,
Bynes
I
has
don't know,
gone.
Britney Spears. I might start drinking very heavily if.
I mean, I like
She's
Britney. I think she's just like living her best life. It's funny in the OR, people are always dogging Britney. I'm like, don't dog Britney, dude. Britney's fine, man. You just leave her alone. She had her conservatorship.
Well,
and
you
she's out.
should, if you've never seen Amanda Bynes, hers is.
Oh, is it even worse?
Is it wild?
I know.
It's
of
not
her.
like Dancing with Knives, but it's.
That was my favorite video of Britney.
I just
She's
want to start going like this because this is all I think about with Britney.
Yeah.
Because that's what she does with her. Not that I should be doing that on this couch right now, but no, I think I would want, honestly, realistically, like, maybe a band or,
Oh, dude, that would
like,
be sick.
or
like you get to tour the band.
like Travis Kelce's page, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where then
that'd
you
be
can go to like something I'm not a part of. Because what I love about this job is, I go into the OR and I shoot hip replacements. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then I have firework. I'm going to China in May for a fireworks company, and there's just so many cool things that. I've held a breast implant in my hand. I've thrown one at you. Like that's kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, you get to do like stuff you probably never get to do.
So I think I would want to work with a person or a business that would allow me to do something really out of the box. I have to think about that. I might write underneath this live video later exactly what who I would want to take over. So I'm going to come back. So wait for that.
All right. Well, so if people want to find you either on social media or find your business, like what's the best way to do that?
www.pairedupsocial.com. And then all of our socials. So Paired Up, PAIRD, no ED.
Oh, they get you right there. Yep.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yep. Well, and I will say that I've been very happy with you guys. We swapped to you, and it's been a great experience.
We've had so much fun.
Yeah, it has been a lot of fun.
I really enjoy it. I think the first video I ever edited for you was the woman that got kicked by the cow.
Oh, right.
And I thought, wow, this is new.
You were here that time, Sarah?
That was the first video I ever edited.
I don't know.
Wait, wasn't that a patient of mine? Or was that a...
No, that was a patient of yours, because you had the video of going in and getting the...
Yeah, she got kicked by... Wasn't it a breast implant that got ruptured when she got kicked by the cow?
No, it was like what's with the blood
Oh,
pools up?
hematoma. Yeah, that's right.
I think I was here because I remember meeting her because y'all met here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did meet.
Yeah.
Through Jeff. Yeah.
So
Awesome.
I remember that.